Most teachers dream of students that would just sit still and listen. But there's an overwhelming amount of evidence from a variety of disciplines that suggests oral presentation to a large group of passive students contributes very little to real learning. Research shows that learning is both a physical and emotional experience that's intertwined with other biological systems. In short, we are biologically wired to learn through interaction and involvement. While Howard Gardner has identified 7 distinct learning styles, science shows we all rely on movement as an integrating function for learning. Now, I believe if you don't model what you teach, honey, you are teaching something else. So I typically use balloons to keep learning fun and interactive as I help teachers to understand the science behind what teaching strategies work and don't work in the classroom. Now, after you draw your eyes, nose, and mouth, I want you to draw a part of your brain known as the cerebellum. There it is. It's a relatively small structure right behind the brainstem, a little bump at the lower back of your head. The cerebellum, which is chiefly associated with movement and balance, is also an essential structure in the learning process. Now, don't get scared by the word cerebellum. Honey, if you could say Beyonce, you can say cerebellum. The word cerebellum actually means little brain in Latin. This is an accurate label since over half of all the neurons in the brain are stored there and is massively interconnected with the rest of your brain. It also has direct links to the midbrain's dorsal area or pleasure center, which increases enjoyment in the learning experience, setting the stage for lifelong learning. Movement also stimulates the release of neurotransmitters, such as serotonin and dopamine. Neurotransmitters carry chemical messages in the brain. Both chemicals are associated with increased attention, processing, motivation, concentration, memory, and an elevated mood. Now, as you put your brain to the side, did you ever wonder what teachers taught your students before they got there? It's often not for lack of trying, but instead because the teacher probably spent too much time telling and not teaching. Research by Malcolm Knowles shows we tend to remember only 20% of what we hear, 50% of what we hear and see, but 90% of what we say and we do. Evidence shows that learning actually increases with the level of engagement. Lastly, I can't think of any educator that enjoys sitting and listening to lectures themselves. I motivate teachers to teach how they would like to be taught. I also find many teachers want to integrate movement into their lessons, but worry about how all this moving could potentially lead to chaos. Some simple ideas? As a teacher, I keep the telling part very short, only 5 minutes for young children, 10 minutes for high schoolers. Teachers should rotate the telling between actual teaching, which is student time. This is the brain's time for processing, encoding, and neural rest. These activities involve students interacting with and creating something with the information from your lecture. Activities such as debates, activity centers, projects, experiments, and partner work. I give students very specific tasks with specific timelines they must complete or problems they must solve. Most of the time, students are talking and I'm asking questions. I have to admit, it took time for this to work. My first tries were very difficult. Remember, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to develop a habit, so give your students enough time to learn your expectations. For more ideas, please listen to Angela Searcy's Simple Solutions show every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on globalnewsforum.com. I love to work with schools, so feel free to contact me at asearcya@aol.com.